we're talking about the NT wife and the ASD husband in this group. And so I want to talk briefly about when you guys are trying to problem solve a relationship issue. She will tend to look largely through the lens of emotion, which that's how she's wired. There's nothing wrong with that. He will tend to look through the lens of logic mostly when he's trying to figure things out and problem solve. That's the way he's wired. Nothing wrong with that. I do want to argue against trying to be logical when both parties are somewhat upset, and certainly when they're majorly upset, because it's not going to work. So sometimes the advice to be logical, let's be rational. That's impossible until you wind down. It doesn't work to try to be rational in the heat of the moment, trying to sort through and analyze the relationship difficulties and trying to stay logical. Well, I can promise you it hasn't worked. And the most logical thing to do is when you're overwhelmed, just allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you feel, and don't try to brainstorm your way out of it. Don't be logical in those moments. If you try to be logical, how you feel will kind of be the premise for your logical argument. And how you feel in that moment is not representative of how the relationship goes in its entirety. You then logically take those feelings and reach conclusions, right? You take your uncomfortable emotions and try to reach conclusions when you're trying to be logical. And that's not the kind of emotion-free reasoning that I'm suggesting. So instead, make the logical choice to not try logic when you're emotionally overwhelmed. Instead, let yourself feel what it is, let time pass. When you're cool-headed again, then the two of you can and should try to remove emotions from the equation, mostly, not entirely. That would be impossible. You do need, and I'm talking about the neurodiverse couples here, as much as this might be a turnoff to the NT wife, when you come back and everybody's calmed down, you're going to have to treat it like a business meeting. If you want to get it anywhere with him, you're going to have to pretend like he's a coworker and that you are in the boardroom and now going to conduct a business meeting. Using faulty emotional logic would only serve to strengthen your belief in your irrational views. When you're calm and you want to problem solve, let's shoot for 80% logic, 20% feelings. And in an ideal world, you wouldn't try to problem solve when you're upset anyway, because now both people are by default, especially him if he's bordering on a meltdown, totally irrational. And they'll come up with some ideas to problem solve, which they think are rational, but they're totally irrational and they're laden with emotional background. Both parties have flashed back because at this point, you've argued for how many years? 5, 10, 15, 20, 30. And so each argument weighs more than the ones that you had 10 years ago, because each argument, there's a cumulative effect. Even though the argument technically might be on a scale of 1 to 10 of 4 level of severity, it feels like a 9 because it's on the back of all the other arguments that didn't get resolved.